Okay, sharing my screen. So we are meeting for a third time. The reason why we're meeting is because we want to extend the maintainers of the extensions, which to this day, they are one person, and that's me. And I can't wait to get hit by a bus. So we need to get a few more people. The issue that we worked on, we picked generating permalink. I worked on it last 2 sessions. This is the merge request. And the last first meeting, we were writing tests for the existing logic. Now the next, the last meeting, we were writing the new logic, and we were kind of fiddling around, and we didn't really get. Hey, Paul, welcome. Where were you when I needed the recording rights for the previous room?
What did you say?
Where were you when I needed the recording rights for the previous Zoom meeting? Well, now we are here in a fresh. Can you smell the fresh Zoom meeting room smell? Brand new.
Smells like coconut yogurt. That's what it smells.
Smells like coffee in mine. All right, so this is what we were working on. We were trying to somehow find out the latest commit for the particular file that we are generating permalink for. I'm going to switch to the editor. This is the same thing. Can everyone see it? Should I make it larger? Is it too small? I can make it bigger if people have troubles. Yeah.
I appreciate if it is a little bit bigger.
Okay. One level bigger. Cool.
Yeah, that's good enough. Thank you.
Okay. And so this is what we worked on, and we just finished where we were considering using the repository log, but we didn't quite get there. I just wrote the rest of this line and this and tried it, and it worked. So what worked? We have this raw repository that we get from the project, that we get from the command wrapper. Here we go. The command wrapper guarantees that we are, like, the file that we are at is already in some GitLab project. So it's like traverses, looks for whether the path of the file matches the prefix of some opened repository path. And now we get the raw repository, which is, as we looked at it last time, this is the copy-pasted file from the native. I call it native. It kind of is misleading because it's like not native code, but the Git extension is native to the VS Code. It's packaged in with the VS Code, and so we can get it and call all these methods. The raw repository is this type or interface, and the log that we call on it is just function directly on that repository, and the options that we can pass to it is optional path and optional limit of how many log entries we want. And so that's what we do here. We call log, say only one entry, and give it the file path. Now we need to figure out what's going to happen when the file is not versioned, how the extension behaves. We will need to figure out all the edge cases and then change the test, make it pass, and we could be done with this particular feature. Up until this point, does it make sense? Cool. So, repository log triple equals dot. I think that's what we are using here. So I'm gonna just remove it. Maybe not. It's just a
So this is now, so again, I may have missed the last session. I don't remember, but we got the log, and then the log gives you the last commit on this file. Is that correct? And the hash that you're getting as a file hash, is that?
Yes, you didn't miss the last session. We were kind of freestyling. We were trying to get the head from the repository. Then we were trying to like figure out whether there is a way to call the git log as a command. And at the very end of the session, we noticed that there is this log method, but we didn't actually
Use it.
call it together. These two lines is something that I wrote like in the next 3 minutes after the end of the session, just to figure out whether I need to go and study the API, so we don't spend like an hour investigating all the possible ways to call Git. So let's run it. Let's run it and see what it does. I'll put a breakpoint in here. It's in the openers. And actually, I'm just going to reset the do terminal. We go open some fish. So this is just what I committed last time. I don't even know why we have it's unused. Okay. This is what I committed after the last session, but we didn't reach a point where we could commit it normally. So I'll put a breakpoint here, and let's have a look when I run the extension debug. Anyway, it's probably lint errors. This I already mentioned that that's not ideal. So we have this GitLab CI, YAML extension, no thank you. Okay, so GitLab, copy link to active file, GitLab. So now we've got this repository. Let's have a look what it returns. So the file path would be GitLab CI. Okay, the file path. Okay, so this needs the relative path within the repository, and this is how we are getting it. That code was already there, and let's step over and see what the log is. It's a one hash, this one. And if we would have a look at the last commit to this file, I wonder how I would go about doing that. Git log, but only for GitLab CI YAML. The last commit is 7A08, and I think that's what we are seeing here. So the log behaves the way we would expect. So now if I just finish running it and I go to the browser, and it is the result that we would expect with the commit being correct. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And so what I would expect, if we just compare this with, like, let's just say git lens, compare the working tree with main, and we will have a look what the openers, how we changed it. What I'm looking at is trying to figure out how did we change the logic and how will we have to change the test? What kind of, I assume that the raw repository log is something that's not present yet, and we will have to make it return the commit, one commit array with one commit in it. And that's probably all that we will have to change in the test. We might have a look whether the get tracking branch name or throw is something that we will still need, or whether we can completely delete that method, so we can find whether there are any other usages of this references. Open current merge request. Okay, so it's used. We can't delete it. And the URI component. Okay, so I guess we will write first test for the happy path, and then we can try to write a test for the path with the log returns nothing. That would be example when you have a new file that's not versioned, and you try to get the permalink for unversioned file. I would assume that the log either fails or returns empty array. Hopefully returns empty array.
Can you see what it does actually in reality?
Yeah, definitely. Let's just switch to the here, and we can create a new file that's not new file txt. It's already there. I'm a very predictable person. New file, new file 2. It's already there as well. New file 3. All right. And let's
Put a few lines
something.
in there. Yeah.
Okay, and let's just call the. Yep. So what does this return? Log is an empty array.
Empty.
Perfect.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah.
So that's nice. So now this will fail by calling a hash of undefined.
So I think you should just exit early if length of log is 0. So then you should just say file's not versioned or some sort of error. Yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Like
the GitLab will just. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say GitLens will fill in the commit with like a bunch of zeros. I don't know how they're working, but obviously it'll still copy something, but it won't work. But the commit is like default commit.
Right. Or the supreme experience would be to use context to not offer a dead command at all when you are on a file that's not versioned.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
That's a good idea, but that's something that I've never done. So,
that's doable.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not. I'm keen, but I would first write make it to a state where it either doesn't do anything or it shows you a little warning saying you are copying permalink of unversioned file, or we might do it on a main branch, but I don't know what's instead of the commit, we would put their main or master, whichever is the main branch for the repository that you are in. But I really don't know whether that is behavior that I would want to see. I would probably want to see a little warning, like you called it for a file that we can't give you an answer for this. And then next step would be not even offering that command if we can't do it.
So let's do step. Sorry, I was going to say let's do the step where we just give a warning first, I think, and then we can the next iteration we can do the complex bit of.
I think let's go ahead and move forward doing the warning. I think we probably don't even want to hide the command, because I can see that being confusing. It's one thing when the command's always available and I trigger it and get a message of why it didn't work. I'll be very confused as a user if the command isn't available, and I'll be trying to find it, and that's a whole different thing. So I think showing a warning is probably the best thing we can do.
Yeah, that's true actually. And I don't think VS Code lets you hide commands, or does it?
It does. It does. There is when you are here in package JSON, you can see when. I'll search for when. For example, here we are saying show this command in select project for repository in the command palette, but we don't want to show it because this command is specific. It can be just invoked by Command Shift P because it needs some arguments or something. So we don't want to show it. But here you could say the when takes a context. If I search for some when that's not false.
Makes sense.
Yeah, we would have some nicer whens than false. Yeah, lots of the commands are only showing where you have the valid state, which means that you have at least one open project and you have an account. The valid state we would see if I open, what is it? Command and extension state. Like we are just have this is valid, which has accounts and has open repositories, and we are changing the context based on that. And some of the commands are conditioned by it. So if I would just open like an empty, can I do it? Command N? No, Command Shift N. I can. Then here I won't see GitLab. I don't see any almost. I won't see almost any commands because I don't have open repositories, even though I have an account there.
Makes sense.
Cool. So let's go with the warning, and I think that that's something that we can now start doing TDD. Why not? I don't do it too often with the VS Code extension development, but this is recorded, so let's write tests first.
Time to shine.
Say it again, Enrique.
That is time to shine.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna package this with my CV, saying, "Look how TDD I am." Cool. So the openers test. Now we can run this. I would expect it to fail. Yeah, it is failing. I was expecting it also to show me some
It
error
should say
here.
no log found, right?
Yeah, but I usually see the error here. I don't know why. Why did it fail so?
You're probably not in the right context. Joking.
So where would I look for this? It's commands, opener. It somehow can't run, but it won't tell me why. So let's just go and run the just test in a console and see what's happening.
In the problems or output, you might see some information.
Yeah.
There.
All right, makes sense. There it won't compile, and it won't compile before because I was upgrading some libraries, and if I fix the node modules, it will work. That makes good sense. I was working on for a while in a Go code base, and today I was handling some really obscure bugs with TypeScript and ESLint. So I went back to enjoying the full JavaScript experience. Okay, so this is failing, and it's failing because repository log is not a function. Okay, so we need to go to the mocks for, maybe we don't. No, we need to check how are we generating the repository. Okay, and we just here needs to say log is async function. This should now start failing some other way. I'm going to this is something that we will need. And if I have a look, cannot read properties of undefined. Okay. So now how are we going to, this is first time I think that in the fake repository, we would be introducing mocks. I guess we could somehow fake the commits in there instead of doing just mock.
Why don't you just do it in this? So you can create fake repository, which will give you that fake repository object.
Right.
And then you can always add the log to it in your test itself. So you can return undefined or whatever you want here.
But so this would be a valid implementation of the log function for, like, I don't know whether this is actually a good or bad idea to put it here, because this might be confusing. I can see myself like using the fake repository somewhere where the log is needed, and this is going to be kind of like silently returning empty array, which might not be what you expect. So maybe the best way is to just leave it out.
Yeah, and then just add it here.
And then add it here. So we have the raw repository create.
Repository, yeah, all of that. And then you can just add it to add an attribute there.
I think returning a default is nice. You don't think so?
I don't feel that strong one way or another. Do you know the Futurama nation of the neutral beings? Like, I don't have strong feelings one way or another.
Okay.
And how people were, when they were still negative, like a thumbs downs on YouTube, people, like everyone who went there was either clicking thumbs up or thumbs down. So there is the exactly same number of like upvotes and downvotes. It was pretty funny. Anyway.
Yeah. No, one of the
yeah.
I'm noticing something with these fakes. So are we using Jest?
Yes.
In the web ID project, all the fakes, if it's a function, we always make it a Jest spy. That makes it really easy to mock the implementation, because you don't have to then like pass through the implementation when you create it. You can just mock it wherever. Do we want to? I see that we're not
something that we are doing here in the VS Code.
Yeah, I think that's what we should do.
Okay.
I think that makes
sense. All right. Let's start with the log then. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's just. I need to think. I'm pretty sure that we wouldn't be using the get fake repository in any like non-test file, but I'm just checking that. Yes, we are not. All right. So then there is no issue with returning just function.
But I like having a default return, like these are it returns an empty array and it returns empty string, so we get types, right? You know, so you can do just the mock resolved value.
Yeah, right. Resolved value.
Yeah.
Okay. And now here, then I guess we can just say raw repository.
Actually, not. It's not array, right? It's promise of array, or will it figure that out?
It's because there is a resolved. There is a mock return value and mock resolved value, and the resolved is returning a promise, while mock return value is returning directly without a promise.
Got it.
It's like built into the, I don't know what you call it.
Jest framework.
Jest thing, yeah. And so here we can just say as mock. As mock is it like this? Mock resolved value. Let's try to return something like which is not the commit object. Let's see how this is.
This
is good.
I think that we should call jest.mock, right?
Yeah. Just mocked, jest.mocked. Yeah.
Okay. Like this.
Yeah.
Then it's going to complain about the types not being correct. That's nice.
Different people have different feelings about how nice it is when types aren't correct.
What do you mean?
Some people is like, I hate TypeScript. It keeps telling me my code's wrong. Like,
yeah, well, I had an experience where my code was right, but TypeScript just had a bug, and I had to change it. It was like when you have a record of like string to undefined, then theoretically, when you have an interface that has a key and a value, just like interface that says this interface has a property A and it's a string, it should satisfy the record. You know, like I'm gonna short distraction. You have a type. You have like a.
I could tell this burned you. I could tell you're.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the time that Tomas was right and TypeScript wasn't. So this is like very important.
Yeah, and then you would have interface won't match, and it's gonna be interface that has just a key and like a string. And now you would expect that the won't match you will be able to use it where the type A is, because this is essentially a string key and not undefined, sorry, this would be unknown.
Yeah. I was like, no, I'm not on your team right now, Tomas. I'm on team TypeScript. But now I get what you're saying. Though.
It just doesn't, like if you say just let val is type A, right? And then you would say val is, and it's going to be like a.
Or do you want to create another one for that? So won't match? Yeah.
Let want is a won't match, and this is going to be a key hello. And now you would assume that you can say val equals want, but it won't.
It won't.
It's complaining about it not being used, so let's just console log it.
What is the
issue here? Use const. I can use const.
That says type string is missing.
Yeah. This is exactly what I was looking at today. And so just again, it says that the index signature for type string is missing in type won't match. So it's complaining about not having this, like, because record is, is just saying that it's string T and won't match it. The way how you fix it is that you say that you have a type won't match that's equal to this. And then it's just complaining about this not being a constant for some reason. But if it's
that's
interface,
really weird.
It is pretty weird.
It's open. Weird. It is being assigned. So.
But I guess because here it hasn't been assigned, I guess that's a thing.
If I mean, you could always do const val below and say const val of A.
Yeah, you can. That's going to be some ESLint issue on top of this. But
can you go back to the interface of P and okay. Anyway, it's a digression, I guess. If you go back to the definition of the
record,
K extends key of any T.
So this would translate in our case to string
in
unknown, like saying that there are string keys in that object with any pretty much. Yeah. But maybe unknown is not but unknown should work. This way it should work. Like I could put there any, it would be the same thing.
But I think any would work. If you put in any, then it should.
It won't, because it's
no, change it back to interface. Change it back to interface on top.
Yeah. Interface.
And now change that to any.
I don't think it will, but I would be you can't have the equal here.
And now the error is so let's fix that first. Let's do const val of A. const val of type A.
Yeah, I guess I can do this. Like const val A, and then I'm just gonna
Equal to
join
one.
it like this.
That works.
Ah, but how come it works with the type and not with the? Okay, so this works, but it's strange that it should work even with the
Unknown.
unknown, but it only works with type.
Because unknown is a bit of a weird type.
It's something like you can put anything in there, but you can't read anything out of there, right?
Yeah.
That's what unknown is.
Yeah, but any means you can put anything in there, right?
And read anything out of there.
Yeah, exactly.
So like unknown is write only, and any is like
and string
read, write.
cannot be a subset of unknown. So it's not a subclass of unknown. But everything's a subclass of any. So
I think that's not how you like. I think you said it right, that it's a weird type. You can't make the Venn diagram of what's. It's just the way how you access it is the difference. Like you can put anything into unknown variable, but you can't read. Like you don't have any type guarantee when you are reading from an unknown variable. Here we are not reading out of it, so it should work, and it works when you change it to type. So
I've seen some sort of class diagram which says that any and then all child types and then unknown and then no child types or something like that. And then because it's a bit of a weird type. And so
okay.
Anyway,
so sorry for taking like 15 minutes of your time on this thing, but I just wanted to like poke a little bit at Paul, saying that like people don't like TypeScript telling them that they have a wrong code. The code was right. Okay, so we want to hash. I was trying to, maybe I'll write a constant here saying test hash is going to be ABCDEFG, and here the hash is going to be ABCD test hash, of course. And then another mandatory attribute is this. It can be empty message because we don't care. And parents, it can be like empty array, I assume.
Yeah, that seemed to work.
So that's nice that we will have it typed matched, but also if we didn't, we could just say hash equals test hash, and it would be a little bit less verbose, but this is fine too. And now if I save it, it should probably complain that this is saying main, but in reality there is ABCD. Yeah, awesome. That looks pretty good, hey? So if I'll change the main here. So change surround this with this. Do you know the surround Vim plugin that's even included in the VS Code Vim fake Vim? No, it's like you can just say CS, like change surround from these backticks to double quotes, and it changes them. I use it quite often when I'm changing, like when I have a string and then I need to make it like the backticked string for putting a variable in there.
Yeah, I use that, and Helix has got that as well, as like the MIM thing, and so I yeah.
Nice. So here we go. Test hash. If I save this, this should work. Then we can write a test for checking that if the repository log returns an empty array. Why is it failing? Is it failing? I didn't save it. That when what we return here is empty array, not that commit, that we will show a warning message, and we can test that relatively easily. So now, how to make it so the tests are not too repetitive? Like I can copy paste this whole thing, but eventually we will probably need to.
I think most of it can be moved. Like you can, except for the mock result value, that's the only one which you can put that in a helper function. And then except for the mock result value, the rest will be
Same. And I think that we might not need, like, some of these things we don't care about anymore. Like, we were setting up the repository so it returns so there is the main branch that was here, and now we can instead probably, for example, I would assume that this parameter doesn't need to, if I delete it, I think the test would still pass because we don't need the main branch. Yeah. Was one thing. And so, Shikar, you were suggesting that I take all of this?
Yeah, so everything from line 23 to 46 can be moved out and put into a function which will take the resolved value as input. And then
Gotcha.
and then just return, that's all. That's all you need to do, really.
Okay, we might do just this as a setup, because what you really need is the project in repository, right? That's what we are kind of setting up, and the active editor. So maybe I can make a function that returns project in repository and active editor. Well, I'm saying that because I kind of like all tests to have a setup, execute, and verify phases.
That's fine.
Okay.
So move that to before.
Yeah, like that sounds like a good idea, because so let's do one thing. We need to have access to the my thinking is now that we will do this all in before, but we need to have an access in for the raw repository, because that's where we are calling when we are mock resolving. So I'm going to just make outside of this scope, even outside of the before scope, there's going to be the raw repository, which is of type repository, and before each. I don't know whether we have any async methods. Maybe it's not necessary. I don't see any async there. Anything returning promises, so we can do it like this. Actually, I'm just gonna delete it from here.
You do need to vary the mock values. And you can move the just one out. Yeah.
Move it here. Right, and then the active editor needs to be also, I see that active editor. And what it is VS Code text editor. And then I'm just gonna and then this is saying that we don't, and project in repository we need as well. That's what we are passing to the command. So what we can figure out if we set project in repository, we would overshadow this prepared test entity. So we might figure out, maybe we can rename this to test, like I don't know, test entity, but then some other codes, some other pieces of the app that only need it and don't care about changing it will read a little bit worse. But we can do that a little bit later. For now, I would just say that
I would maybe call it project.
You would call it project?
I think I would just call it project.
We can't. That's I'm very, very like sensitive about it.
I see.
Because it's like part of the project in repository is a project, and it's very like the project in the repository is like the key entity, the one super important entity in the whole extension. And I spent like 2 years figuring out that that's the core abstraction that every command needs to work with. And it has to be either like, it needs to have all the words in there, even though it's unpleasantly long, but we need to be able to deduplicate it from the project. And
I see. I thought I was talking to the neutral
no,
people.
No. Neutral people left. This is
left.
It's very serious.
The other idea to get the naming maybe making more sense if you scroll up to sometimes I'll do for in 6, I'll import star as test entities. So I'm like namespacing that one. You know what I mean?
I like it. Let's do that. Let's just put here to do. Oh,
yeah,
no,
it's not a big.
let's do it straight away. Import as test entities. And then
okay, so you're doing all of them. I see.
Yeah. It's just we only needed one in this particular file. Only this one. You mean like, yeah, I'm importing all of them. I guess we could somehow like say that we only want the test entities to contain the project in repository, but
so in most of the time it wouldn't make a difference. Like Webpack is smart enough to know whether you did the import star or otherwise, just what you referenced, and like being able to the tree shaking of JavaScript stuff is next level. So if your module doesn't have any side effects on import, it's able to, because you can't reference, if you're not referencing things dynamically, it's able to figure it out pretty well I wouldn't worry about non-optimization, like a lot of the JavaScript compilers.
Gotcha.
But we're in test land, so this is Node. So
we
that's
are in test land, and we are using ES-build for packing this, so like for making the production file. I'm not sure whether ES-build is as smart as Webpack. Maybe isn't. I don't know. So copy link to active file creates permalink, and the next one is shows warning.
Permalink when active file is present. An active file is present in repository.
Gotcha. When active file is versioned.
Yeah.
I could go as far as saying versioned in initialized GitLab repository, but I think that this could be okay. Shows warning when active file is not versioned. Okay, so here we would just delete the return empty array, and here we would expect that this is going to be not to have been called, and we will expect that VS Code window show warning message to have been called. We can go a little bit fancier maybe and say been called with.
Yeah.
But for now, like, do you want to say like the string? I would prefer if when I'm doing this, we don't have internationalization, so we are just putting strings everywhere here, English strings. But I usually just do regex match on like 2 words, like here it would be something like not part of repository or something like that. So I would do this. Sorry, my Vim is not. I don't know what I've done. All right, here we go.
Making assertions on strings is always a controversial topic. I don't know. Like I don't even have a strong position here. But I think like pattern matching is a great option. And you're not like coupling the implementation to UI text that may change in the future.
Do you want to have been called with?
Yeah,
it can take regular expressions to have been called with.
Yeah.
Ah,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Then you can pass a whole bunch of matchers and stuff too.
right.
Yes, what Enrique was saying, I was debating to myself of like, oh no, I like to throw the whole string in there, but I know this is gonna start. This is gonna start a whole conversation. I'm just gonna let it go. I think you'll need to do expect dot string matching. So you have to create like a special matcher that you can pass into it. So
Uh-huh.
it's something like this. String matching. Yeah. I guess the containing takes a string and the matching takes a string of regex. Yeah.
Gotcha. I didn't know that.
We could just use containing actually.
Yeah, we probably use containing because the regex doesn't actually do anything, but it's fine.
And it's probably slower. So, instead of regex. Oh.
Okay. And it's still failing, and it's not failing this far. It's failing on.
Yeah, because it throws, right? It throws.
Yeah, it fails here. So that's good. It makes sense that it fails here because we are expecting here that the lock is always returning one value, and that's not the case. So just going to delete all this old code. And after the lock, we're just going to say if log is empty, is it empty?
If log and, because log could be, what is the value of log? It could be undefined or array, right? Or
no, it's just a empty. It's an array of commits. So I thought that there is like a empty, but it probably isn't. So I can do just like log.length. Is there a method on JavaScript array? I could swear that there is something saying like empty. Why is it not there? Find sum. No. Values.
length. Length best. Let's do length.
Yeah. I guess we have to use length. I could swear that there is a, but maybe it's only on the array, like the actual
array
like full array like that. So length larger equals 0, I guess.
Is empty on the set type, I think. Set type has got a is empty.
And here we are going to just say VS Code window, and now it will be show warning message. And
we should extract this. We should extract that to a const or something on top.
For sure. Do you want me to do it now?
Yeah.
Okay. So we don't have const here. We can go. This is going to be non-versioned file warning.
Yeah, warning. Is it a warning or an error? It's an error, right? Because you're not thinking about it. You're not really, you're really saying you can't go ahead.
You do, but at the same time, you are like nothing blew up in the app, or like you didn't do anything.
Yeah, I would almost say it's an information, because I think it's not like
info.
Oh, so VS Code has info, warnings, or errors as far as their levels. We have a command on the GitLab web ID to commit changes. And if there are no changes, we just show a little info. Hey, you have no changes. So okay. I think that this feels like the same kind of thing. I wouldn't do an error because it sounds like something catastrophic happened. See you, Enrique.
See you, Enrique.
Current files are committed repository, but we've copied something random to your.
No, we won't copy anything. We just exit early. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So we will show this what did we name it again? Non-versioned file info.
It doesn't have the word problem in it, but yeah.
Doesn't have. You're right. We're gonna fail our tests. We're supposed to put the word problem in.
Can say wait. By the way, there is a ESLint rule that makes you await everything that returns promise. It's pretty good, but sometimes you wanna like you want to leave the promise go away without awaiting it, and then there is a do not await. If you just write do not await, I don't know why it's not recommending it, but there is a do not await utility method that's the only place that it's ignoring the ESLint rule, and all the other places need to call that method, so you can search and explicitly say that you don't want to await that promise. But here we want to await it. The drawback is that till user dismisses the info message, that nothing's going to happen in this class. That only when they dismiss the info message, this await will, like the promise will resolve. But we don't care because here we do return. So like it doesn't matter that it waits for this return because nothing's going to happen anyway. If we wanted to like show the message but start some execution, we would not be awaiting the.
Right. I think though that we've run into something interesting though here, because maybe we shouldn't be throwing the warning message here on the get active file.
Yeah.
Maybe we should be returning we should be throwing the warning message where, see you, Shakar. Elsewhere. Because this seems like a getter, you know.
I agree.
So maybe side as well. So what? But I think it's worth. Do you have a few minutes?
No, I have a meeting starting in a minute.
But
like I can do like one, but I can't do more.
Well, no. So I'd say maybe next time. I do think it's worth that distinction of where do we do these like VS Code alerts in this like. That'd be really helpful, I think, to touch on for everything.
Okay, I'll put it here.
Cool.
To do next time, discuss the layers in the extension and their responsibilities. For example, where should we collect errors and show them to the user? I usually can type on a keyboard. It just today.
Your language model is a little touchy. All right. I'll see you.
Thank you. See ya. Bye bye.